kind of a scary thing going on. My girlfriend, 25, of about 3 years now, who I met after she was in recovery, had just rebuilt her life when we met. We've had plenty of ups and downs, but we love each other. Anyway, when she was living with me, on 2 or 3 occasions, she had mentioned about a year or more ago that she was being followed by black SUVs. They were black GNC vans with tints. Fast forward to this morning, the same van was driving towards her on her way to the train, and the driver rolled down the passenger window and says, "I'm so happy we finally found you, Miss," and then her last name. She kept walking and crossed the street where the van wouldn't be able to get next to her. She called me and was in tears after she ran to the train station once she was out of sight of the van. We're not sure what's going on here. She claims that her ex is a single male, raising multiple kids that aren't his. They're all girls under 17. He also sold drugs and knew big-time guys who trafficked drugs. She said this to me on WhatsApp after she got mad that I kept asking why anybody would be following her. She also claims that they've asked if she could move things across the border, which she claims she never did. She also snuck in the fact that the drugs sold by either her ex or his friends have killed people in the past. But that was 4 or 5 years ago. The only other thing that I could think of is she claims she was abducted by aliens as a kid, but that's kind of crazy to me, and I've always dismissed it in my head as bad dreams that she had as a child. But they wouldn't come back in an SUV if they wanted to talk to her. She's always very level-headed and honest about everything, and there's no reason she would make any of this up or lie to me. And she was in tears on the phone. She's leaving work at a weird time today to pick me up when my shift is over, which she would never do unless she felt unsafe, like she does now. My theory, she moved into a new apartment and her address was changed on the registry within the last 3 or so months. It's a very upscale place as her job pays her very well and she holds a supervisor position. She also financed a nice car about a year ago. I think that maybe she dropped off the map and appeared at an expensive residence with a nice car, and now they're asking questions. I'm not sure what I would rather it be at this point. Nobody's going to pop out of a black-tinted van with good news. It's not like they're following her because she has an unclaimed lottery ticket or something. Any advice is appreciated, as this is kind of freaking me out, and I'm really trying to stay cool about the situation. This all happened exactly a year ago. Shout out to Facebook Memories for reminding me. I lived in a ground floor apartment in a heavy foot traffic area. It used to be a corner storefront, so the living room windows were huge and only one small one could be opened. I had a very violent upstairs neighbor, and even angrier dealers living across the street. I've had to make multiple calls to the police and give statements. Aside from them, the neighborhood was pretty lovely, and I got along well with all of my sane neighbors. One of my cats even became a local celebrity, thanks to a haunted Halloween tour that would make a stop at my corner every night. They would tell stories, and the second he heard them, he'd sprint from wherever he was to jump up on the windowsill and listen while they all cooed at him. Anyway, because of the large windows, I didn't have any privacy in my living room. Usually I didn't mind this because I'm a people watcher, and my cats also loved the view. I had blinds and sheer curtains, but you could always see straight into my apartment. Thankfully, I had plenty of privacy in my bathroom and bedroom. One night, I was sitting at my computer desk in the living room, just watching YouTube and sipping on a beer. I heard a group of people talking outside, but these were normal sounds for the area and would have ignored it completely if I didn't hear one of them speaking directly into the window fan in the one open window.
Oh, she's drinking a beer. Doesn't she usually drink whiskey?
I spun around in my chair instantly, and then I heard,
"Oh shit, she saw us,"
and scuffling as they ran away. I could not see them because it was dark outside, but it sounded like there were at least 2 women and 2 men. I was frozen in place just listening for anything else, like footsteps or their voices again. It took me a while to fully realize what I'd just heard. I do typically prefer to sip on whiskey at night, but that day I wanted to try a new beer flavor I saw at the store. These people knew my habits well enough to know this. I was also deeply concerned that they knew it was whiskey. Since I'd drink it out of a set of patterned glasses, there was no way to tell what was in them. You could see the kitchen from the living room window, but I often kept my whiskey in the freezer, so they'd have to see me at a specific moment to know. Needless to say, I didn't sleep that night. And while I couldn't sleep, I remembered another incident that had happened a few nights prior. I keep my bedroom window open at night because I sleep right under it, and I like the night breezes. There's a bright security light directly across the street, so even with the blinds down, I still have quite a bit of light hitting the opposite wall. One night, I woke up around 3 or 4 a.m., which isn't unusual for me, and I just turned on a Netflix movie to fall back asleep. While laying there, I see the shadow of a head and shoulders appearing on the wall, and it just stays there for way too long. I'd guess 15, 20 minutes. Now, this isn't very common, but people have stopped to smoke a cigarette right outside my window before. The smell gives me an instant headache, but this time, there was no smoke or smell of any kind. Someone was just standing there. I couldn't tell which way they were facing, but after the recent event, I wondered if someone was looking in while they thought I was sleeping. I told my coworkers about these events, and they were terrified for me. I was actually planning on moving at the end of October and just slowly bringing boxes and furniture to my new place over the course of the month. Once they heard what happened, they all banded together and got 75% of my things over in one day. I told them all I cared about was my animals and my bed, but they got everything except the larger furniture and whatever we couldn't box up and move before midnight. I love them all very much and appreciate them every single day. I had a couple of anxiety attacks over this, especially when I had to go back for the last of my stuff. But I felt completely safe in my new place. I also got a full-blown security system with sensors and cameras. Unfortunately, this wasn't the first and ended up not being the last time I was watched or stalked. I still visit the area of my old apartment from time to time because it's a great bar scene. I don't think I'd be able to pick out their voices, but no one's given me any weird looks or vibes since.
Oh, great. You're still here. Well, since you stuck around, maybe you're looking for something else. Maybe you want to tell me which one of these 2 photos you like best. Just immediate first impressions. What do you think? A or B? Okay. Stay spooky.
Honey, hi.